Hello, welcome to the Sunday Miracle Lab. I'm Shirley. I am really a little technically challenged. I've been sitting here actually talking to myself, thinking I'm doing the thing, and then I see in the corner go live, like, oh, it's just tiny in the corner. Anyways, I didn't realize that I was just talking to myself. So, this is the Sunday Miracle Lab, and today is the 14th of April. And I never really prepare too much what I'm going to talk about. And there's a reason for that. I am the way that my makeup is, the way that my consciousness is made up, is that for me to really understand the things that are going on in my heart, I have to allow them to come out my mouth. And I don't like you don't really. I mean, I've got a lot of good things in my brain, but that's not really what people are interested in hearing about from me. It's more the things that come out of my heart and stream through my voice. And my heart is very connected up to a universal consciousness. So as I find the clarity in my heart for the things that confuse me, as a spiritual teacher, I can allow and help others to find clarity for themselves as well. So I usually just talk. and and there's usually like gobbledygook that comes out at first. The longer I go, the more there will be an energy. I'll get tired, and my energy will just renew with this more soul energy that will flow through me. Um, I wrote a song about this phenomena for me. It's called "Into the Blue," and it's a song about um, yeah, I dreamt that I fell into a well, and that this blue water was all around me, and this bigger part of myself was coming awake, and she could breathe in the water, and she could do all these supernatural things. And this is how I feel with my spiritual self. The more that I have allowed my messages out, there's this part of me that's informing me through the process of things that I didn't know before I started. Every day there is more. It's like I'm on the cutting edge of infinity. And every day I'm creating new clarity for myself and for those that are around me through my connection to my own bigger self. So, today in the Miracle Lab, I was going to talk about the ways a little bit because um, I'm not on YouTube. It says that I am. How bizarre. It says it has a little check on the top, Facebook and YouTube check. Maybe check it again because I just got on. So I was talking to myself without it being on live. So anyway, all we can do is just laugh at ourselves sometimes, right? I love you too. I'm wondering if that is Julie or Julia. Okay, wonderful. So today's Miracle Lab, I was going to talk about the ways again, and I was going to talk about spiritual dominance. I was going to talk a little bit about miracles and how we can create miracles and what my vision is that we can actually do with these miracles. And the things that we're facing in the world. We have some things brewing that could be the start of, well, World War III. And we might even be in World War III right now. It's just we haven't really had humanity wake up to the peril we're in and start engaging. So the vision for this Miracle Lab was born out of my love for this planet, my love for the people of this planet, and my desire for solutions. And I've been taking notes from my soul. So I've talked just a bit ago about this self-projected aspect of myself where I have to almost like project it out of myself, and then I can understand it more clearly. And I don't really understand it as fully as I do like in that moment that it's coming forward. Um, but but what has happened with that I mean, because if I try to start thinking about stuff, then it just doesn't flow and it doesn't really move. So what I've found though is that through my own voice, that my own bigger soul has been talking to me. And if there's something to understand about my soul, is I'm one that just I'm like a something that just burrows in deep, 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 deep till I find what I'm looking for in my deepest self. And so I've been, well, I would really love that. I would love for the light to win. I would really love that. And I really hope so. Um, there's a lot of pieces of things. We've got a lot of work to do to get these interlopers off of our backs, right? We've got a lot of work to do. They're poisoning our food, they're poisoning our air, they're poisoning our water, they're poisoning our medicine, they're poisoning our minds, they're poisoning our relationships with each other, they're brainwashing us. They're using all of their media is used to um, control our. If you really understand the way the subconscious mind works, is that we have these systems, right? There's the system that goes that says, okay, what you're saying to me is real, right? We can say what when someone's talking to us, we can judge by their body language, by what they're saying, by their tone inflections. We can judge by the energy that we're feeling coming from them. But then there's this other thing that is really subconscious that's in the background, and that is that it's almost like the background is picking up the congruency to see if we're being fooled, right? And it's picking up, there's things that are laid, so it's almost like it's distributed the truth through the background and it's reading that background. And all they have to do is place some different images and suggestions in that background, and they can fool that part of us. And then they can stand in front of us and they can be good actors and they can be people that that are saying one thing and completely doing another. And and they've been manipulating us. So for us to get all of our, this place is very paradisical, very paradisical. I mean, compared to a lot of the things that we've been living in as a humanity since the beginning of this, our history here that we know of, we're in a paradisical place. I mean, we have, yeah, it's really hard to do. I don't think it's as easy as you're saying. If you live in an inner city, the only food that you have available is at the little corner stores and the little fast food joints that are around because it's too far to get to big grocery stores, right? If you're poor, your options are very limited. And actually, I don't think that that is totally true. Like, I think it is a full-time plus job right now to keep yourself from being poisoned. If you really want to look at um like why is everything designed, everything that they put in our toothpaste, the things that they put in our hair care products, they're everything that is being allowed by these corporations to be manufactured is disruptive to our productivity and our reproductivity, disrupting our hormones. No, but it's much more doable to get these a wipes off our back. That's what we need to gather together and do as a humanity, not just continue to, work a full-time job to provide against the next onslaught. They have made things to where we stick our children in places all day with people that do not love them, to raise them. And then we wonder why they cannot form connecting relationships in their adulthood, and why they're all, having these dramas that are not sustainable for them going on, right? We have been, in the channelings that I have done with the oversouls, they have brought forward that we have just been invaded, and they have hacked our biology, if you understand the way that men are wired, and what is the very first thing that they put on the internet, it is the things that hack their biological systems, their human animal, because they have a lot to put up with in the onslaught of the hormones that they have to carry around every single day. It's a huge burden. It's a huge burden. And to have that attack, to have all these things everywhere that are eliciting those responses from them constantly, to where they get no peace, they get no clarity, they get no courses of action that are clear and definable for them. They have to work like the Dickens to keep any kind of integrity for themselves in this kind of a system. And if we were building systems, I mean, when we're talking about heaven on earth and universal peace, we are talking about we have to activate the same soul that can create that. And that's exactly what we're learning here in this class, is how to activate that soul, how to co-create with it, how to bring it in more and more. And everybody will sit and say, oh, we're all spiritual. Well, that's true. That's all true. We all have a spiritual self. We all have a soul that's on a mission here. But the amount of people that actually spend time in that place, not very common in today's world. Yeah, capitalism is beautiful. I love capitalism. And I love socialism, which is the female perspective. The masculine perspective is capitalistic, and it is beautiful. It is beautiful. It creates more and more value for us every day, each and every one of us. Our systems and the government don't run because they aren't capitalistic, because they aren't competing with each other to get better. The world of men is men competing with each other to make things of better value and better value and better value. And we shouldn't punish people that succeed in that succeed at being a man. And in the female perspective, right? And this is why the mating thing and why it was designed for us to have the masculine and the feminine together, is because, my studying my boys and studying, I have 4 sons. And you know what? I woke up when I was a small child, and the thing I was most scared of in the entire world was men. Most scared of. My father was a maniac. And I was terrified of men. And every pregnancy that I had, I was, oh God, don't let it be a boy. Don't let it be a boy, right? Part of the brainwashing that is going on is that we're putting all these blanket things over, things that are very specific. We only can actually make real change with specific action. Well, not without the feminine. The feminine is the part of us females are wired up to make men share, to make men take care of the elderly, to make men take care of the children, to make men do things. And we carry around their Tetris pink between our legs with control over the thing that they come back to over and over again. It is a really beautifully built system. And in that system, he is eroded over time. And men, when they get older, they are absolutely generous and beautiful in the way that they aren't as capitalistic. And women become a little bit more in the end of their life, right? It's a beautiful process. But capitalism is beautiful. When we're talking about capitalism, we're talking about doing competing, right? The whole nature of mating is capitalistic, right? The woman is going to choose the best. Actually, I think that would suck. I think that would absolutely suck if women could run the world for a while. Maybe if there was wise women that were running the world that had balanced their masculine and their feminine, but it would absolutely suck if women ran the world for a while. It would be awful. And you know why? Because women spend most of their time in emotional imagination, and they have absolutely no real touch with reality. They live in social systems with each other, with their children and their friends, and they are, we are just 50 years away right now from living in dirt shacks, hauling our water uphill, lucky to have water. Most of the women in this world don't even have clean drinking water, right? And we're talking that if women were running the world right now, they do not think in the same way that men do. The only way that we have roads and safety and the things that we have going on is because men have built them for us. I am a female and I am in the construction business, and I will tell you, we are not absolutely, absolutely built the same. Testosterone does very different things. If you understand the way that we're wired up, men get rewarded with testosterone by nature so that they will produce things of value, so that they will get off of their duffs and do things, right? And they need an awful lot of testosterone. And if they don't go out and do things and do things and do things, and it's a completely different world for them. Nobody's going to love them if they don't make money. You know that us women don't have anything to do with men if they don't provide value to the world. I met this absolutely beautiful man who was, absolutely grounded in his worth as a man. And he was so worthy as a man. He was this beautiful, beautiful Black man. And he had decided that because his ancestors were slaves, that the world owed him, and that he was not going to work, and that the world was going to just have to provide for him. Now, unfortunately for him, the world isn't really set up like that. And when I met him, he was sleeping it was down in Mexico, and he was sleeping at either on a park bench or on a friend's couch if he was really lucky. And, we sat and had to talk about his life lesson, which was one of learning how to do the things he didn't want to do, right? Like make money and work and provide value for the herd, right? And he was like, no, I am just so beautiful and I am just so deserving of everything and I'm so worthy of everything that I don't have to work and I don't have to provide value. And so everywhere he goes, he kind of loafs off of people a bit, right? And then they get tired of him and they get rid of him because he won't give anything of value to the group. He's just a taker, right? And he's in Puerto Vallarta, which is one of the most beautiful places around, and it's a very thriving gay community. So because he's so beautiful, there are gay men who will buy him dinner and things like that. But the women, won't have anything to do with him because and who's going to support him? He's beautiful. He's so beautiful. He should just make money off of just being there, and just like people should just walk up and hand him money. He's so beautiful. He's got the voice of an angel, but even he considers that work to share his voice with the world, right? He hasn't made a public thing for himself to where he can actually make money off of just sharing his beauty and his voice. But unfortunately, this is the reality for men. And when men are born, like I remember when I was in hand analysis school, I was like absolutely shocked, like, because for me, it's been waking up from my own delusion has been this incremental thing, right? It's almost like my soul has pushed me in one way, and then the my soul has pushed me into things like almost like fooled me into doing things like getting married and all of these things and having babies. And all of a sudden these expansions happen and I have to do them because I love my children and I have to grow. And it was very difficult for me in our society. And this is one thing that like if we're looking at who are our enemies in the world, right? Who are the who is making everything difficult for us? Because we have this whole group of men that have been making things really, really wonderful for us. We have I have a beautiful SUV out in the parking lot, and I can go climbing up hills in my little four-wheel drive, and I can go pick things up and drive around and drive from state to state if I want to. I live in beautiful houses. I have all these conveniences. I have machines that wash my clothes and all of these things. And men have built these things for women. And some women have participated in that too. And there's not always an always, right? There is like 80% of it is this way and 20% of it is this way. And then you go to the opposite side and it's 80% and 20%. It's and there's always a chaos factor in the way that everything is set up. But, when we look at the percentages of the population that are this way and that way, right? But if we're looking at what men have to go through to become men, it has been the most difficult thing for me as a mother, right? To watch the initiations that they have to go through, to watch the way that they're so attracted to danger, the way that they're so attracted to things that make them dangerous, right? To be through in this process with them over the last 25 years of expansion, to where, and looking at, like some of our population, these men have built this for us. And, I look at these women and I think they're nuts. The ones that sit there and say, oh my God, we've only been able to have a credit card for 50 years. Well, guess what? Nobody had credit cards 50 years ago. Like people didn't like debt. They have saddled us with debt. Of course, they've opened it up to us because we have shopping problems, most of us. And we are disconnected from reality, most of us, in the real ways that sometimes are really important and absolutely separate us from life and death. And if women were running everything, the world would die. The world would die. We would all die. Because it is the men who do the work that keep us alive. They grow most of the food on the planet. They do most of the transporting of the food on the planet. They create the internet. They maintain the internet. They bring power to our homes. They fix our lovely little dishwashers and our cars, and they keep everything running. And we owe them everything. We owe them, us women owe them everything. And we owe them respect. We owe them absolute honor. I write songs about the father love. And, I can go to any country in this world and I can go get on any plane and fly places. And there are men who are safely getting me where I want to go. Driving the planes, driving the buses, running the hotels. These men do beautiful things for us, and they are not our enemy. And no, we would not do a better job without them at all. We would not do a better job without them. And they are doing what has to be done. I am a general contracting woman, and I will tell you, I will walk onto a job site, and if my husband had not paved the way, if he had not taken on those elements, if he had not used his visual self to lay out that lot and take the elevations, things that I don't know how to do, and if he didn't take on the concrete, and I don't know if you've ever watched men that work with concrete, but my gosh, there is something that carrying around that heavy rock and working with that heavy material, there's something that it does to you that is just absolutely, it's such a load. Like, it's such a load. The gratitude that there's somebody that's willing to do that is incredible to me. It's incredible. And yeah, as a general contracting woman, I can do a lot of planning, and I can handle the trades once my husband has gotten it dried in and built and the structure is there. And then I come in and I make it beautiful and I make it a home, and I get people communicating and all the details that need to happen. I get those wrapped together. But it is a thing that we do together. It is not something that I do by myself, nor would I want to. And there are those few women that just love to dig out rocks all day, but I am certainly not one of them. And as far as raising as a mother raising children that are sons, do you know that like in right now, the way that everyone's been brainwashed is that males are shameful. They're just shame everywhere. It's like, taking my sons everywhere. It's just vomit, shame, vomit, shame, vomit, 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 vomit. We women have become so racist. We are racist against males, and especially white males. We are the racist people on this planet today. Us, those who think that we are so holy and so spiritual and so absolutely God loving, that we love everyone, but every other word that comes out of our mouth is man shaming. And it's not right. We have been duped. And do you know why we're being duped? And do you know why we have been duped? To turn on our men, to turn on the very mouths that feed us, that clothe us, that house us, that cut off the harsh elements of this world for us so that we can make art and do beautiful things and raise beautiful babies. It is because it has been planned that way by those eugenists who want to murder us all. How do they cut the men down? It is by getting to the women. That is how they cut the men down. That is how they haul those, they just cut those tree trunks, because men that are being dishonored and disrespected will not perform for women. They will not perform. But they will they will fight to the death for women that are honoring them, for women that are appreciating them. If you want to know the crack that men need, they need appreciation, and they need sex, and they need food, and they need love, and they need families. And you give them those things and they will do anything for us. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a lovely thing. It is absolutely of design. It is glorious. We are our nature, men, male and female. And we have a male and we have a female. And you know what? Everybody's getting so confused right now because there's a lot of influences in our food. I'm sorry, but they sit in these chemist labs creating things that screw up our pheromones and all of our signals in our body and our hormones. No wonder half of our children. I have a loved one, a dear and close loved one, that is going through all of this confusion. And she tried to take her life. This confusion is not helping her. She is divided in herself. And I am just saying that, yes, we need strong women. We need strong women, very much so. But we need strong women that have seen through their delusion of their emotional dominance. Because emotional dominance is beautiful. Love and light in everybody is really great. And thinking, but we have this, if you study water and the nature of water is absolutely got some challenges with reality, right? It's got some absolute challenges with very certain things in life. You have to study and you look at the strengths, and they are beautiful. I love beautiful, soft women with big hearts and their nurturing arms and the beautiful food that they make and the beautiful art and contributions to this world. And they're so beautiful to look at. Even the old women are just beautiful to look at. The young ladies are beautiful. The little girls are beautiful. We are all so beautiful as females. And the males are beautiful too in their own way. But I'll tell you what, I'm married to a very masculine man who, there's not many men that are as masculine as my husband is. He's the soul that sacked Rome. He's the soul that took him down. And I was actually there with him. We were buddies in that life. I was his right-hand man. And he is a determined soul. And he is, there's just nothing that stops him. And he's very, very masculine. And he's very, very different than me, absolutely different. But we're so complementary. It's absolutely crazy how complementary we are, and how much we learn from each other, and how much we grow from being together, and learning from each other every day from being in this container. But I do believe that we do need wise women, but as a woman, we have to get out of our emotional immaturity, and that is a long process. There's a reason why we don't let young men run for presidency, for the Senate and things like that. It's because it's a long process for them to mature as well. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of older women today. I love them all, but many of them are just off the rails. Off the rails. They don't resemble anything like a woman. Many of the old women that I know today, they don't believe in nurturing. They don't love children. They're grumpy around children. The women we're seeing a lot today and that we're being influenced by today are the women who chose not to have families, and they're masculine, and they're cold, and they're they're they've not got a heart of anything that's important to lead us to. And I want nothing to do with those women. I want nothing to do with, I don't want them to influence me. I don't want to take what, and again, these women, God bless them. They're all souls. I love them all. But, like, and I have good friends that I dearly love, but they're off the rails in their mind. And there is something too when the capitalistic white males are saying that, hey, these guys have a mind virus. There's something to that. And I'll tell you, there is. And you know why? Because they're not like a woman is only going to make a good contribution to society if she's doing so with her heart. And if she's doing so thinking about the entirety of the herd and not just herself. I want to hear from the wise grandmothers. I want to hear from the wise mothers. But those women are busy working. They're not sitting on social media, sharing their thoughts. They're not rising to the top of academia and sharing their thoughts from the pulpit, right? They're not, the women, many of them that are in the Senate, and the ones that are running for president. Again, these are cold-hearted women, most of them. Not somebody that I would want to be the rounded edge that's coming in to knock the tough edges off of these men. And if you look at capitalism, and if you look at men, and when we're talking about capitalism, we're talking about the very nature of men that has been their reality for almost the entirety time that we've been on this planet. Okay? Men know from the time they're little boys that they have to hustle if they want a place in the world. Period. They have to work hard. They have to suck it up, buttercup. And guess what? When men sit and feel their emotions all the time, guess what nature gives them? Lots of estrogen, and it feels awful. If you've ever seen a man that is sitting around feeling his feelings all the time, he is a grumpy, bitch dude. Not a fun dude to be around. And even, like nature is not stupid. Nature's not a dummy. We all think that we're so much smarter than nature, but nature knows what is up. And and we can rail against the system all we want to, the way that it is, but it's here. It is this way. And guess what? It is the life process of a man that, as he goes out and he provides value for the world, and he's able to have a woman who's going to say, okay, you're my betting horse. I'm going to bet on you that you're going to provide for me, that I can have babies, that I can make a home, that I can, and all this stuff. We're right at the edge of losing everything that we've worked for. We're right at the edge. And a lot of the prophecies, even the Hopi prophecies, they said that World War III, when it comes, that it's going to leave us to where there's nothing left but for us to just start growing our own food again and do things like that. So, like there's a place, I mean, I don't know that I'm the person to argue with the prophecies that have been coming down for generations. I really hope not. I really, like I love this world. I'm just starting to figure some things out. I'm just starting to have a little bit of prosperity and a little bit of time and a little bit of those things. And I don't want it all being flushed down the toilet. And the thing is that do you think that our social systems are going to survive if these things keep going the way that they are? Right now in my state, they have messed up the Medicaid so badly that none of the doctors are getting paid for 6 months. And at the end of it, there is, there is, at the end of it, that they aren't accepting Medicaid patients anymore. So basically, people aren't getting approved for Medicaid. People are not getting they're not getting approved for Medicaid. They're not getting and they can't find providers for Medicaid, right? So this is happening in a really big way in my area, right? And these systems are very delicate that we have built. And there are people like white men are not your enemy. They're not your enemy. Men are not our enemy. They are allies. They are the ones that are getting this off of our back, right? This whole survival. This is a harsh planet. So now I got engaged today with what I think, right? This is what I think. Now my mind is a Virgo mind. It's an earthy mind. It is a mind that is practical and is able to see some of those things. But that is not the best part of me. And Julia, I love you, and you know that I do. And I said some things today that are hard to hear because they fly in the face of some of the things that you hold very dear. But I don't believe that what you're saying is true. And I'm not going to support you in that delusion, even though I love you, even though I care about you, even though I want all the best for you in every way. And I do know, I'm a female. I do know that that men that are unchecked, that are unbalanced, that do not have strong females in their lives to guide them, that we've got to have some things in place for those folks. But on the other side of it too, the more laws we pass, the more things we do, the more difficult it is to get everything done. If we pass laws, we have to get rid of old laws. That the bureaucracy of this world is one of the ways that they're torturing us, right? Go down to your local DMV and just try to get your driver's license, or try to get your license plates. And it's like this torturous experience. It's like the demons are right there just feeding off of you, right? And if we look at the authors of these systems, there are some men, and they are white, some of them, many of them, but they're not the men that you're seeing today, that they are behind the scenes, and they are manipulating all of those people. They are evil. They are connected to evil. And if you look at the people that are manipulating, or those that are manipulating them, they are spiritual entities. There have been elites that have been playing in the astral plane. And by playing in the astral plane, they have been bringing forward technologies to enslave humanity that work. They've been bringing forward Agent Orange. They've been bringing forward glyphosate. They've been bringing forward fluoride to shut all of our third eyes down so that we don't have discernment, right? They have been they have started every war that has been done. And these guys have been doing this since, a long time. It's not just been a few minutes. We're talking All banks exist today because of the work that they've done on those astral plane. Do you think that these guys just had this idea that, well, I'm just going to start banks and then I'm going to have a worldwide monopoly of banks and I'm going to own all the countries and all of the politicians in those countries? And again, like, is it really between the woke and the white man? Is it really? Is this really the issue? No, it isn't the issue. Do you know that everything's inflating right now? Because the banks own everything, and the banks own our Fed, and the banks own, that they're inflating everything on purpose because they want to kill us. And it's a hard reality to come to terms with. But I don't see any other explanation. And if we want to fight these creatures that are producing on the astral plane, then we need to get our asses into the astral plane. And we need to start gathering the things that we need to counteract them. Because that is where our power is. We are supernatural. We are miracle makers. We are soul. We are connected to the God source that is so much bigger than any of this. And I don't know if you're still here, Julia, but I may have challenged you and lost the friendship. And I do hope that that is not the case. I hope that one day you'll come back and listen to this again. The delusion that is over the mind of the women that are attacking the men, that are all dyeing their hair purple and doing all these crazy things and mutilating their children's genitals and all of those things, that's crazy. That is not feminine. That is not woman. Woman protects children. We protect children from our own men. We protect our children from the whole world. We protect our wombs. Do you think that it's our idea that to abort all of our children? No. That comes from the dark astral planes and the things that they have put into this plane to make that happen, to make it easy, to do the brainwashing, right? I am so amazed at all of my friends that will not show up for a woman who just birthed a baby, but they will all take weeks off of work to support their friend who's having an abortion, right? It is not feminine to do these things. We are protectors of life. We are birthers of life. We are not exterminators of life. And if you and your belief system as a woman think that that kind of thing is okay and feel like that's really in alignment with you, well, then I would say that you've got some real deep work to do. Because like, as women, we can call it whatever we want to. We can rename the things in our wombs as tissues, and we can dehumanize them, and we can not account for the fact that they have the most complex nervous system of anything on this planet, and that they are going through excruciating pain in these procedures. We can gaslight ourselves all we want to. But the truth is that we're just fooling ourselves. And I would take any woman today that has had an abortion, and I would bring her into my arms, and I would feed her soup, and I would love on her. Absolutely. But I will still tell her to get back into touch with her core. And as a woman, we've been, our species here has been polluted by these dark energies. They are in our brains. And if you understand what they really want from us, they want to put us in 15-minute cities. The Wi-Fi that they've been bringing forward, also a technology from the dark astral planes, okay? Somehow they're able to use that and the heavy metals that they put in our vaccines and they spray in the air, because even if we work full time to not get heavy metals in the other places, we go walk outside and go take a walk and we get them because they're spraying things all over our cities. And, there's something about the heavy metals and the Wi-Fi and the things that they're bringing forward that basically just makes it to where their demons from the darkness can come and just feed on us. I mean, essentially what we're cursing humanity to by not getting in touch with our soul technologies and going into the astral plane and getting in touch with the light and bringing it forward on the plane. Like, I would love to think that there, but I just, the way I understand love is it's in a different dimension. Like, the source, what we come from, is in a different dimension. And in order for us that to come here, we have to expand to hold that. So we might be on our own. I don't know. Not that we're truly ever on our own, because our bigger self is always there and it's always waiting for us to get out of these lower energies, because the higher energies cannot come into the lower energies. And when we get into the higher energies and we expand, what happens is that we can allow that love in. And I will tell you that, the woke is not love. That's not love. Love is not gatekeeping. Love is not rearranging the whole planet so that someone doesn't have to feel the pain that they came here to experience by being different. Love is not only Black Lives Matter and all the white lives suck, right? That's not love. And if you look at things from an eternal perspective anyway, guess what? The way that karma works is that we evoke the consequences of our actions, right? Most of the people that were slave owners back in the day are coming back into those people that they hurts bloodlines to try to rectify what they have done. And so maybe I was the slave of yesterday. Maybe Elon Musk was the slave of yesterday, right? Like, we don't really know. So this whole thing is just stupid. There's just nothing smart about it. This whole only one sect, and the idea of women going and bullying and punching men in the face and the whatever else's to push, to try to make things more equitable for a group of people that, based on skin color, is also racist, right? Now, I am not like again, all souls came in here. Now, these are spiritual realities, the emotional reality of being in a disadvantaged place. Now, I was born incredibly disadvantaged, right? I lived in a trailer that pulled on wheels most of my early life, right? I was not, I was in an abusive family that was whacked, and then in a cult for most of my early childhood, right? And the things that I have today, I have earned, and I have worked hard for. And I work, most of the time, a lot, but I find a lot of joy in everything I do. So it's not, it's great. But the thing about it is that, like it's very interesting, because if you are a woman and you study the psychology of women and you are a woman and you think like a woman, like, the thing that we default to is gatekeeping, right? It's like, we want to go beat everybody up to make sure that everything is safe for this person, that we don't want them to have to go into that room and face the feelings of their differentness, of their challenge, of their thing. And that's not empowering. That's not empowering. You can't go out in the world and make everything converted to the language of 1% of the population. I mean, ladies, it's hard because you don't see this common sense, right? We can't, like, if someone is gay, it is different. Not all of the population is gay. Seems like it today, but not all of the population is. The majority of people are still male and female that are attracted to each other. And because of that, there will always be a differentness. And if you study these people's soul planning sessions, you'll see that they chose that body. They chose to be gay so they could be different, So now the soul doesn't even get what it came for. It doesn't even get the challenge of growth that comes from being different than everybody else around you. And so we've got this group of women that are trying to convert the rest of the population and entrain them and reshape reality in a way that's really morphed and really strange to those people that aren't brainwashed in it. And it is a very um it's a very peculiar thing, right? And yet I'm not supposed to say that. We even have corporations that are gatekeeping this. And why is this? Why are why are corporations gatekeeping this? Why has this been implanted in women so that they are believing something that isn't reality? And the truth is that in soul world, we all get as much time as we need to be where we are. Even if that means that you're racist, I still love you. I still want to be your friend. I still respect you. I don't believe that these ideas are going to get us anywhere good, though. I am the first person that if there is a trans person to that they want to come to and that they want to spend time with, because I am loving to them. I do treat them like a human being because I treat all human beings like they're human beings. But that's because of my own inner dictates, right? And there's a big difference between doing that because you authentically feel that way and asking half of the population to fake feeling a different way. That's senseless. Now, we can have laws and things like that to protect people, but at the same time, people came to live contrast, and we can't protect them from that. And rather, like in advanced emotionality, in advanced female perspectiveness, right? What that is that we actually become genius at helping people look at the pain, attend to the pain, feel it, transmute it, and walk out their truth anyway. But we don't try to change the rest of the world. We don't become bullies punching everybody in the face, trying to make them do what we think is the best, right? And the moral superiority that this group of people that have this orientation, right? And again, it's disconnected from the reality. Like I have one brother whom I love very dearly, but he is never taken care of anyone in his whole life. He's never supported anybody but himself. And he believes in universal wage, and he believes that any person that's more well off than him should give to him. And that, like he thinks that capitalism and that these white men are the reason for all of our problems as well, right? And my brother is gay, and he's wonderful, and I love him very much. But I don't agree that like he's the last person that would give away his provision to somebody else to support somebody else, right? And you can't really, unless you're willing to do it yourself, unless you're willing to go out and work and provide for those, you can't point your fingers at the workers and say, you're wrong for having your base tribalism and your base way of being in the world. You can't, it's just, it's not balanced, and it's not mature. And the idea, yeah, I mean, I'm somebody that, yeah, well, money's just made up. Well, actually, the economy is this very, very complicated system. And yeah, I really wish that we were back in the days when we could just build a house and we could, all survive on one income, and we could have vacations and disposable money and all of those different things. But the truth is that the slaves have it better than most of us have it today in the way of the amount of responsibility that we're meant to carry, right? Because in a slavery situation, the master provides the housing, and the master provides the food. The master provides all of the needs of the slave, and all the slave has to do is work, right? But in today's world, we have to not only provide for our own housing and our own food and all of our own expenses and all of those things, but we're, at the end of the day, if we work our butts off and we have nothing for ourselves that is beyond that, then we're worse off than a slave. And so let that sink in for a minute. We're worse off. And the thing that's very interesting about the core tribalism of the male perspective and of the masculine gift, right, is that they don't want shame bread. And like to them, like they don't want to be given to, they don't want a handout. They want to earn with their own thing, and they want to bite into that thing that they earned, and they want to know the worthiness of doing that. And they don't understand why other people don't want that for themselves, right? And they don't understand the emotional dominance. They don't understand that many of these people that are emotionally dominant don't have the skills to survive out in the world, right? Nor do they have the orientation. I mean, I some of the young females that I'm around, I mean, if we were out digging and moving rocks today and said, come on, let's just do this all day, I bet you that'd be the last day I would get them out there, because it's hard and it hurts the body, and you get blisters all over your hands and your back hurts and you're tired. But men are really amazing in that they embrace that state, and they come home and they enjoy what they built, but they enjoyed what they sacrificed. And so I can see a lot of the wisdom that they are offering by not wanting to create all of these systems that don't feed themselves and that don't provide value. But the thing that the masculine man needs to learn is how to value other things than just his own contributions. Because if we look at the contributions that are made through the mental people, right? The people that are the educated, the mind dominant people, they make a lot of, like in a working man's view, a theologian has of no value, right? And a philosopher has no value. And it's even rare that an engineer has value, because most engineers don't have touch with the practical experience, and they way overdo and complicate everything. That's very, very annoying for those people that have to work with them. In the times, when the ones that do have some practical experience, they are absolutely, um, absolutely, um, you know, that don't overdo it, don't create more work, right? And if you look at the working man, they don't like people that create more work for them, right? They don't like lazy people. To them, those people are the bad people. But if you talk to females, the mean people are the bad people, right? And if you talk to the mental people, then well, it's the uneducated that are the bad people. They're not really bad. They just don't know. So they're just but it's kind of like dehumanizing, because they think that just because people don't know what they know, that they're less than them, right? So it's kind of a form of like, you're a bad person and I don't like you, kind of. It's not, it's more like but superiority is one of the things that the mental realm people also struggle with. And the creatives, they're really impatient and cut you off from your sentences and don't want to listen to the things that you want to say, and they don't want to take advice from anybody and things like that. They're just off and off running on to the next thing that's exciting for them. And they're not engaging too much with some of the other things, or if they're just getting really fiery about something and then running off. But we have all of these different kinds of people for a reason, and they're beautiful and they're lovely. And the way that my mind has grown through hand analysis, and I'm going to share this really quick because, and actually I'm going way over on time, and I actually, I often regret sharing. Today is a day that it's not safe for you to share a view that opposes in any way the um, the delusion that's been forwarded by these dark lords on the population through the great hypnotism that has happened to them. They're basically have exploited and taken and expanded in a myopic way through our education system and things like that, in such a way that it is, it's like they've exploited our very caring nature as women, right? They've exploited and turned it into a weapon. They've turned it into a spear that we're using to cut off our own heads and to cut off our own feet, right? Because if we cut off our men, we are doing that. Do we really want to do all the plumbing ourselves? Like we kind of get off a little bit on the whole idea of like, ooh, look at me, look what I did. I wired a garage. I did wire a garage. I have done some plumbing. I have done some of these things, but I'll tell you what, no thanks. Too hard to work. I've been playing with the boys for a long time. Over 20 years I've been playing with the boys in the boys world. And it's a boys world for a reason, right? But I see more and more women. Last week on my job site, there was a young woman digging out the water line. I guess she just really enjoys having a big old, bar in her hand and digging the dirt out next to the foundation to get the water inside. A lot of women really enjoy. There are some women that are more earthy in their nature, and they really enjoy just getting to work by themselves with their hands and being in their, not having to be in little gossipy situations in offices and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. The thing that's beautiful about all that, this adventure that we've had in straying from a lot of the traditional values is that, yeah, that would be great. That would be great if you sent them over. Um, yeah, the straying from our traditional values that have come about through. I mean, we would think it was absolutely nuts if a mountain lion female and a mountain lion male, that they had been this way since the beginning of the planet, and then they started acting really different, right? We would raise our eyebrows and say, what's going on? What is interfering with their nature, right? Our nature has been interfered with on purpose by those who want to destroy the entire planet. And I'll tell you, these dark lords that go co-create on the astral planes with dark entities, those entities that they're letting into this reality do not just want to destroy the humans, and those of us that they keep are just for body parts and to feed off of, basically. And if you really understand the way that demons are and the way that the planes are set up, they're setting it up to where, like, imagine the most hellish moments of your life, right? To where most people will get to experience that all the time. We are not only dooming our planet and the people on our planet, and they've weaponized us against them ourselves, right? They've made us believe that our climate is a problem. They've made us believe so that like all the little kids that have their guts twisted because they used a straw, right? And who's the dummy that put a straw here in the first place without figuring out how to break it down? In the spirit world, they do not create like this. We are babies playing with little blocks, and we need to start playing with the big kids if we want to figure it out. And we all have a big kid. We all have a way to go into the astral planes and to co-create with our higher self, with our oversoul, with our God spark, with our personal representative of the God family. We all have a way to do that. We just have to go there. And I will tell you that everybody thinks they're so spiritual, but they're not going there. Do you know why? Because the hand actually reports if you're going there, if you're doing it a lot. It actually reports it, and it's only 1% of the population that goes there. And most of them are kind of like herding cats, right? And but the thing is that if we can get us all together, and if we can get us focused, and if we can get us using our heart technologies, which is the love that we have as we have matured, as we have learned to love those that are different than ourselves. And it's amazing, humans and females will show up to do miracles for a baby, right? And I think that that's wonderful. I encourage that because because we can, our hearts have no encumbrances towards a baby, right? They're fresh, they're new, they're innocent, and we'll put our love towards that. But we've got to grow our love so that we can have that kind of love for everybody, including the capitalists, including the woke, including the male, the female, the rich, the poor, the whatever, right? Everybody in between, because there are no enemies except for those that are creating with the dark astral planes and have enslaved humanity. And if we don't learn how to break that enslavement, we are not only dooming all of ourselves, but all of our offspring and everybody into a very, very dark reality. It's so dark. Like, like, like their favorite thing is terror, right? Especially terror and innocence. And there are beings on this planet today that actually feed off of that and create that and laugh about it. And these people are dark. They are dark. And we have to get into our light. We have to get into our love. And I'm not talking about the love only for our pet causes that make us feel better about ourselves, that make us feel like we're more moral than other people. We're talking about everybody. Now, I am the first person to stand up and stand against a predator, somebody that's hurting children, somebody that's hurting other people. I will be the first person to get in the way. I took down three rings before I was probably 15. 3 predators I took out of commission that were hurting children before I was 15. I don't know if I'm just one of those creatures that sniffs that out and shakes it up, but somehow that happened in my childhood and in my teen years. I exposed a guy who was he ran a record shop, and he was doing all of these awful things to young girls, telling them that there was contests and getting them alone and feeding them alcohol and doing all kinds of things to them. He was raping young girls. He had videos inside the changing rooms where he was videoing all of the girls who were changing in the rooms. And he had a ring where he was distributing these images to different places. And when they busted him, they found an entire wall full of videos. He'd been doing this for a very long time. And it was my bravery that took that down, right? And I'm sure somebody else would have at some point, but that just happened to be me. And the thing that I would say, though, about the whole, I'll be the first person to stand for someone that is being abused, someone that's being mistreated, somebody that's different. I am one of those people that I love people. I love all people. And every day, my borders of what I will love, it's expanding even more. And even someone that that is a predator and is doing something like if you just really understand that in their psychology, the very best thing for them, if we were to look at their highest good, is to be around other people that are like them, which is what happens when they're in prison, right? So for me, that's like I'm giving a gift to them and I'm protecting the children. And that is a win-win for me, right? But the idea that we can create these things where this person loses and all of these different things, like we have got to, yes, temper our men. And it's our things in society. I mean, us women, we have held this thing together through marriages, through lots of different things, and we've lost something in our what is permissible for men to do and things like that, in the way that we have kind of had our controls in society, right? We're in a time where everything goes and anything goes, and men need us to be very resolute in our truth and not buying into a destructive truth, right? A truth that doesn't honor us on every level. The truths that are really real honor us on every level. They honor our bodies, they honor our emotions, they honor our thoughts, they honor our spirituality, they honor our life purpose. They're the purposes that we are bringing forward here on this plane. And a lot of the ideas that are circulating around today are not honoring of all of those things. And we have every permission to do everything. We are all truly innocent. We are all loved. We are all held in compassion. But that doesn't mean that everything is really the right way to go. It doesn't mean it's the gold standard of living and the thing that's the possibility that's going to bring about the highest outcome for us. Now, for some reason, all of this stuff is being allowed right now. And I don't totally understand it, but I do feel that I am part of the energy that is awakening something deeper, something more primitive, something more higher, something that is, more instinctual, something that is, I'm not finding the right word. It's not really primitive. It's not really, it is the soul and the wisdom of the soul. I mean, that like when I sense my higher self, when I sense my oversoul, when I sense the godness that is flowing through me, I sense like this mighty dragon that is just like instinctual and one of the faces. And I sense love and I sense, but these lower energies, right? Like I feel as though I'm a hunter of these things in my soul self. That I am something that cuts off the energies to these things in the way that I speak, in the things that I support, and in the things that I do, and in my and the thing is that as females, we need to have unconditional love. We need to have an open heart. We need to deal with all of the men that have hurt us and the pain from that and attend to it and feel it and transmute it, right? I mean, I used to have dreams when I was pregnant, like, oh no, I'm in a used clothing store and I'm picking out, I was like, oh no, it's another boy. They're so dangerous, right? Like I had been so brainwashed into and again, it was partially just due to my pain and my generational pain, right? But if that wasn't clouding, then I mean, when I was a young woman, I couldn't see men clearly. I couldn't love them for who they are. I couldn't appreciate what they were bringing forward to me. But I can now. And I love that clarity. I love that clarity. So today I got off on a tangent and I apologize to anyone that my speaking my truth today, that it challenged. I just want to add like a soft heart love onto that because I know it's hard. It's hard to wake up from your delusions. It's hard to look at your own bitterness. It's hard to look at your own um, racism, the way that I mean, the thing that's really difficult is that we have been, and I mean, this is how hate works. Whatever we really, really, really hate, whatever we really, really dislike, we become it. It's a lesson that gets evoked, right? And that pulls us into it. Um, Everything that I've ever hated, you know, I used to hate the idea of new age. I used to hate the idea of I used to hate the idea of past lives. And all it did was call in this giant expansion in me, right? But I am somebody who truly wants to learn. I want to be taught. I want to see clearly. I want to love clearly. I want to have good intentions for all. I want to be fair minded. I want to be mature in my emotionality. But gatekeeping is not mature. Gatekeeping isn't helping anyone, it's helping people avoid the pain that they came here to deal with. And that causes addiction, that causes all kinds of other things. It causes suicide. And when you gatekeep, you get really, really crappy wages. I don't know if you know this, but you get to do all the work. And then when it doesn't work, because the person's still in a bad place, they're still confused, they're still not accepting themselves, they're still not loving themselves, because it can't come from the outside. It has to come from the inside. It has to. A little bit of outside helps, but we cannot take the entire society that has kept us alive and safe and sacrifice it so someone doesn't have to feel different. We cannot sacrifice our children. We cannot. And if you study the way that women have turned on their traditional values, which it's been women that have been fighting to have babies, to be the happy mother of children. Since the beginning of time, we have been fighting nature itself for the right to have offspring, just as every other mammal on this planet, every other female mammal on this planet has been doing since the beginning of this planet. And if there is something different in you, it has been implanted. It is a beautiful thing to be saddled with responsibility. The best thing that ever happened to my son was when he knocked up his girlfriend. They got pregnant, they came home. I cried. I was so happy because I knew what was coming. The best time of my life, which is my grandson. He is just absolutely beautiful and amazing. I would never trade him for all the tea in China. But I'll tell you what, the way that they expanded, they were just sneaking off and doing naughty things, all before that, wrecking cars, doing all kinds of things, partying at the lake, getting in trouble. They got pregnant, everything changed. They now have money saved. They're doing so great. The growth and the expansion in them, it's like night and day. And like most of the time, us escaping the responsibility that we came here to live is not the right choice. And the females that are purporting this are not coming from a place of love and caring. And I do understand that there is a lot of consequences, but those consequences are the best thing that could ever happen to us here in the next few years, because they have attacked our um they have attacked our fertility so heavily. Do you know how many women cry their eyes out because they can't have a baby? Do you know how devastating it is for a woman who does want children to not be able to have a baby? It's like all of her biology is screaming for it. Her brain goes crazy, right? It's an awful and a devastating thing. And we're losing that. We're losing our ability to procreate because we of these dark things that they've been bringing forward from the astral planes that they bring out here, and they actually work, and they like doing it to enslave humanity. Do you think the TV just popped out of nowhere for them to brainwash us with? Come on. It was brought from the astral planes. And if they can bring that from the astral planes, and if they can bring all of this glyphosate and GMOs and all of these grody things to humanity, imagine what we could do if we went into the astral planes and started co-creating with the authors of life itself. So much stronger, so much bigger. The things that we are doing and are capable of are so much more powerful. And guess what? We have to get there by faith. It's by growing our faith in miracles, growing our understanding in our spiritual self, understanding what the spiritual self is, what it can do, how we can get into contact with it. Because it is like going to the gym, and it is like working on your abs to go into the astral planes and into your inner dimensions and doing the work that you need to do to open up into greater spiritual expansion. And there's not that many people doing it. There's a lot of people who are claiming that they're doing it. But again, we have a map that tells us if you're doing it, and not that many people are doing it. In all actuality, our hand tells us if you're going to the gym, your hand tells if you're going to the school, your hand tells if you're going to the the dance party, right? And it also tells whether you're spending time in the astral planes and in the inner dimensions that are underneath our superficial, emotional whatevers that we've got going on, right? It's underneath that. We have to get through all of that little tangled mess most of the time to get into the bigger part of us. Anyways, this is probably quite enough for today, and I hope that you all have a good day, and I hope that I still have a community after today. You know, gatekeeping isn't the way, ladies. Being bullies to men is not the way. It's not going to get us anything good. And I'll tell you what, we'll appreciate those men if these dark energies get their way. Because you know what? They're the only things that's been standing between us and the wildness of this planet since the beginning of the time we've been here. Go watch Naked and Alone or those survival shows, and they'll put the men on this side of the island and the women on this side. And pretty soon the women are going over and seducing the men so that they can get some of their food and some of the things that they've got, because men are really good at that. Anyways, love to you all. You have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I do love you all. And I have grace for you wherever you're at. And sometimes it's difficult to talk about these things. But we're not enemies. And the whole world needs to learn how to speak each other's language and how to get along. We need to learn how to do this problem solving. But, I mean, it's a hard thing to say, but, there's some wisdom that has been had by keeping women out of certain areas of life. There is some wisdom because we have a major weakness that's being exploited right now. So anyways, we haven't been protected in the way that we have been protected before against our own flaws of our own dominance, right? Anyways, love to you all. Bye-bye.